You're watching Truth versus Hype. We are in Bodrum, the Turkish coastal town which draws people for its picturesque beaches, but increasingly has been in the headlines for Syrians who come here to make a short but dangerous trip across to Greece. Now, the entire attention of the world media on the refugee crisis has been concentrated on those who come here or those who arrive at the doorstep of Europe. Instead, we've chosen to take the hard road, to travel to the roots of the Syrian refugee crisis, starting with the Turkey-Syria border, where there are still millions who wait and face complex challenges that remain invisible. In a town at the edge of a country at war, we meet 12-year-old Shemsin, stacking shelves in a cloth shop in Suruc, just a few miles from the border with Syria. Shemsin is from Kobani, the Syrian border town overrun by ISIS. A bloodbath ensued, thousands fled. Shemsin's family was amongst them, one of the millions of Syrian refugees in Turkey, the invisible majority of the migrant crisis roiling Europe. For 8 hours of work, 6 days a week, he earns a pittance. Doing what?
I just do the basic work like cleaning.
How much is he getting?
He gets 20 lira for a week.
He says he misses school, but there is no choice. What about school? Does he not miss being in school? You miss? Across the road is Muhammad, 13, also from Kobani, also no longer in school. His new skill, stitching curtains. The wages and the hours are the same. How much is he earning?
He gets 20 lira per week.
20 lira. And what time to what time? Working?
He starts at 8 and finishes at 6.
Nearby is 13-year-old Khalid, who has learned how to operate an embroidery machine. He says he has done this now for 3 years, which means he started at 10. For this experience, he has earned a small wage increase.
He said until 1 month ago, he was receiving 20 lira per week.
20 lira per week, okay.
And now he gets 50 lira per week.
These children are not the only one. In the bazaars of Suruc, the children of Kobani have become omnipresent for the opportunities they present, working long, hard hours at less than slave wages. Ask the men who employ them and they say they are giving them a fair deal.
Bu şartlarda az değil.
He said within this condition it's not that much.
Türkiye'nin ekonomisini göz önünde bulundurursak,
when you make a comparison with the economic condition of Turkey, it's not that much. It's not that less, sorry.
Okay.
With those life conditions, not that less money. Mustafa?
How are you, Vasu? In a rundown neighborhood of Suruc, we meet Khalid's parents. Their story is harrowing. They used to live in Raqqa, the Syrian town that now serves as a de facto ISIS capital, and then to Kobani, where the ISIS followed them, and now here. Mustafa, a plumber, says he has little choice but to put his son to work. How often do the children get to buy new clothes?
I bought this t-shirt in Syria. These are also, he bought them in Syria.
It's still the same.
It's difficult actually.
This is not to suggest that what we've seen represents the entirety of the experience of Syrians in Turkey, or that Turkey isn't doing enough. In fact, it's spent billions of dollars to help those who've crossed the borders. But what it does indicate is unless the world turns its attention to supporting Turkey's efforts, and away from simply those who've landed at Europe's doorstep, the crisis for those who've stayed back is only likely to get worse.
There are not enough jobs for these more than 2 million refugees. So that's a very big economic burden actually for Turkey. As I said, Turkey spent more than $7 billion US dollars already, and just to manage this whole process.
Yes.
But what Turkey received from the international community is limited to 417,000 only.
Khalid's parents, however, like most of these refugees, are unlikely to land at Europe's gates. They simply cannot afford it.
She said we can't go because we don't have money. He said we don't want to go because we want to be close to our home country.
But as we found when we traveled to the Syrian border, to the edge of Kobani, they cannot return home anytime soon either. So we've reached now the border between Turkey and Syria. Just across the barbed wire fence is the town of Kobani, the largely Kurdish majority town of Kobani, which witnessed some of the worst fighting when ISIS was on the march. And you can still see the ruined buildings. The extent of destruction even now is very, very severe, even though it's now been almost 8 months since Kurdish forces have recaptured Kobani. And that's the reason why that a large percentage of those who live here, 80,000 people who lived here, continue to remain displaced, continue to try and find shelter in Turkey or wherever that journey takes them. Like Khalid, like Muhammad, like Shamseen, Aylan Kurdi too was a child from Kobani. His family's attempts to take him away to a better life ended in devastating tragedy. But as we found, the choices for those refugees who stay back are hard, even harder for the very young. The world's attention may be focused on a fraction of the refugees who've landed at Europe's door, but the reality of the vast millions from Syria who are staying in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Turkey are facing far more complex challenges. We traveled to a refugee camp along the Syria-Turkey border to confront one of them. Nearly 60,000 children of Syrian refugees have been born in exile. Turkey doesn't recognize them. And to get recognition in Syria, torn apart by civil war, is next to impossible. So what then happens to these children without a country? In a refugee settlement not far from the Syrian border, we meet 4-month-old Sherwan. Sherwan is born here. His family fled their hometown of Kobani just across the border when ISIS attacked. That battle has given him his name.
His name is Sherwan.
Sherwan means what?
Ma'na Sherwan? Sherwan. Sherwan means fighter.
Fighter?
Yeah.
Ah. Why is she named him as a
Shema
fighter?
Navi Sherwan Dani. Yeah, for our comrades actually we named him Sherwan.
Oh, measles ho gaya.
Today
Sherwan is fighting an attack of measles which has left him sick.
Yeah, they took him from the hospital 2 days ago actually. Actually we want my son to stay at the hospital for longer. But the doctor just gave some cream, put some cream on his back and sent, okay, take it.
He, like thousands like him, faces a longer-term crisis. He is a child without a nation. Turkey doesn't recognize these children born in exile. To get recognition in Syria, torn apart by war, is too complex. Moreover, most have come without ID papers like these, which establish a basic proof of identity.
They don't have that paper. You mean family paper?
Yes, family paper.
They don't have.
Oh, they don't have that.
They don't have.
Where that was left behind in Syria or?
No, they left it in Syria.
In the camp, we meet baby after baby, born here or while in flight, their births unregistered.
Okay. His father now, he lives in Tel Abyad, and he works there.
He works in Tel Abyad.
In a couple of next days, we will also move back to Syria.
And they come from Kobani?
They originally come from Kobani, but they used to live in Tel Abyad.
They came from Tel Abyad?
Yeah, came from Tel Abyad.
What happened in Tel Abyad that led them to come here?
Well, the Al-Nusra came to the city and they forced Kurds to migrate.
Out. There are estimates which suggest that there are almost 100,000 children who've been born in exile to Syrian refugees, 60,000 like little Muhammad here, just in Syria alone. And what makes the question of their nationality all the more complex is that according to Syrian law, nationality is transmitted through children through the father. But the fathers, in the case of many of these children, are lost in the fog of Syria's unending civil war. This is Shefket, 11 months old, from Kobani. His father, Muhammad Mustafa, a soldier for the Kurdish militia, died while fighting ISIS in March this year.
When was this baby born?
Mahunif, 1.5 months before his father was killed.
They have no identity papers and no father. On paper, they might be without identity, but these children are deeply politically aware. Nareen, only 6 years old, tells us she wants to sing for us a song for Kobani. Just last week, top European leaders met in Brussels to promise strong action against the illegal smugglers who are powering the movement of migrants across borders. But NDTV met a passport forger right here in the heart of Istanbul who said it was business as usual for him, outlining the gap between the alarmist rhetoric of European countries and the reality. As dusk falls on Aksare Square in the heart of Istanbul, the refugees begin to gather. Around this time of the evening, Aksare Square resembles the waiting area of a railway station with families camped out with their baggage, waiting for some indication from the smuggler or trafficker about their forged documents. That means booming business for those like Uday,
How are you, brother?
a passport smuggler who we meet in a nearby cafe. In full view of the diners, he explains how the trade works.
So how much does the passport cost?
حسب الباسبور يعني هو حسب جنسية الباسبور حسب الباسبور وين بيدخل كم دولة شو.
Okay, so for example, like a European passport would cost how much?
مثلا 700 يورو 1000 يورو.
700 to 1,000 euros. And how do they guarantee that they're not going to get caught? Like it's going to be genuine. How do you ensure that?
ضمانة ما بنقدم ضمانة بتضل المصاري معك مع أخ له هون وبس يطلع مثلا يطلع عن طريق الباسبور بالطيارة بس يصير بالطيارة وأقلع الطيارة يخبر أخوه رسالة إنه أنا أقلعت مشي الحال سلم.
But it's said that part of the reason why authorities turn a benign eye is not to place obstacles for Syrians. Now, of course, there's a strong criminal dimension to all this, but it's also worth remembering that many of them have fled their country, 70% according to one report, without their passports. And it's virtually impossible for them to return to their own war-torn homelands to retrieve it.
هو هلا موضوعنا نحن بصراحة نحن هلا بنعتبر حالنا إنه عم نشتغل شغل مخالف كله غير نظامي ولكن نحن مقتنعين إنه نحن عم تستفاد العالم منه.
Yeah, we know.
لأنه إذا نحن ما اشتغلنا الشغل وما طلعت العالم فبالتالي راح يزيد الضرر علينا هون طول ما أعدادنا عم تكتر.
But the forging of illegal passports is no charity work. Uday described a well-oiled criminal enterprise where all of the passport forgery is concentrated in the hands of a few ringleaders whose job it is to ensure that the law keeps a distance.
The source of this passport is one. Just one print this passport in all Turkey.
Or one person.
Yeah, one person or two person, one office.
Who is that one person? Is he Turkish?
اللي عم بيشتغل هو عبارة عن 3 جنسيات. في
Three nationalities.
في واحد سوري واحد تركي واحد إيراني.
And has he ever faced any threat or problem with the police at all?
واجهته شي مشاكل مع البوليس؟
نحن ما بنواجه مشاكل لأنه نحن شغلنا يعني دغري بالحركة يعني نحن بيجي لعنا الطلب.
Is it true that everyone says that that he or the groups that do this bribe the police?
The big boss paying for police, not us.
In a startling claim, Uday says a parallel group is headed, amongst others, by an Indian.
سمعت عن مجموعة تانية بتشتغل بس بعدنا ما التقينا فيها وما وصلنا لها يعني فهم قويين كانوا هذول عم بسمع منهم هم جزائريين وهنود.
Less than a week ago, a high-powered meeting in Brussels of top European leaders promised a crackdown on illegal smuggling of migrants. But according to Istanbul's passport mafia, it's business as usual.
From time to time, the governments of Turkey and the other European Union countries say we must crack down on this illegal trade, on the fake passports and all of that. Just now, last week also, they passed a resolution saying that we must slow down, crack down. Has that made any difference to this business?
Yeah, just speech.
Just speech, nothing happens.
Changed. Yeah, nothing happened.
Coming up on Truth versus Hype, why, despite all the rhetoric of politicians and governments, on Aylan Kurdi beach, it is business as usual. Exactly a month ago, the body of young Aylan Kurdi washed up on these very shores. It sparked a wave of anger against governments around the world which were blocking the entry of refugees and against human traffickers who were making millions while playing with their lives. But as we found exactly 1 month later, here on Aylan Kurdi beach, as it is now known, it's business as usual. From the town of Bodrum on Turkey's western edge, a 40-minute drive to a beach. We've been told that a boat of refugees is leaving from here.
Zaten botun şişirme süresi 10-15 dakikadır. Kurnaz olmuşlar. Başka şeytanı olmuş. 2 dakikada taktım. Ben bir taraftan basıyor.
Oh, right.
Just on the beach.
Oh, just on the beach
it
over there.
takes 15 minutes.
Okay. And the refugees also come at the same time? Like with the boat? Or they are already waiting here?
Diyor ki hani bot düşerken de diyor burada bekliyorlar değil mi diyor şeyler.
Tabii ki bekliyor.
Yes. Refugees are waiting.
This is no ordinary beach. It is here that Aylan Kurdi's body washed up just weeks ago. But there is no boat tonight. So this is Kemer Beach, not far from Bodrum, and this beach is now an unfortunate landmark because this is where Aylan Kurdi's body was washed up not long ago, just exactly at somewhere over here. Despite this extremely tragic reputation of the beach, it continues to be used as a popular launch pad for refugees who want to cross over. And the reason for that is fairly obvious, because if the camera can just tilt there, the island of Kos in Greece is literally within touching distance. You can almost reach across to it and you can see the lights of Kos, which are so close by. Now, tonight though, it appears that because of the fact that there's a lot of wind, you can feel that, you can perhaps even hear it on the mic, because of the fact that there's a lot of wind, it's unlikely that the boat is going to come to take the refugees across to Kos, so they are going to have to wait somewhere around here. We're not exactly sure where. We're told it could be somewhere up here in the trees, in the woods, for an opportunity when the weather does get better. The refugees might have to spend a night on these hills. See that they've been sleeping here or waiting here. There are traces from previous such vigils, cardboard doubling up as sleeping bags. We saw a police van and a police motorcycle go back and forth. So there is some attempt to try and check the flow of refugees. Again, we don't know how effective that is, because as we heard that the boats continue to leave from here. The police patrols we saw, we are told repeatedly, are just occasional demonstrations of an otherwise absent state. How is this entire business being able to operate so openly, despite the fact that there's so much, government is saying that they're going to take action?
Bu şeylerde hepsi bilgi. Görü yani.
Government knows everything.
Government knows everything.
Gör basmane bir gör alam caddede oturuyor yani. Orada gece kalıyor orada. Kendi çalışıyorum.
In a cafe in Basmane, the smugglers' hub in the town of Izmir, further up the coast, this smuggler tells us it is all the same. The rates charged for desperate fleeing refugees the same.
So, like, how much does it cost for each refugee to cross over?
Buradan Yunanistan'a $1200, $1100.
There is the familiar rhetoric of smugglers as well-wishers helping their own. This man himself is a Syrian.
Which part of Syria did he come from?
Nereden geldi? Suriye'nin neresinden?
Halep'ten.
Halep.
Ah, from Aleppo.
Hepsini tanıyorum onları tamam. Tabii para yanımda.
He knows everybody because they call him, and maybe they are relatives of him, friends of him. He knows everybody.
These claims belied by the lack of safety, no change of the deadly practice of sending people in overcrowded boats. Just a week ago, 17 people drowned off the Turkish coast. A booming business that continues to thrive as the law looks the other way.
Approximately, how many people here in Izmir would be doing this?
Binlerce var yani.
Binlerce var.
Thousands.
Outside on the streets of Basmane, a young boy turned into an advertising billboard for a life jacket. Perhaps some child like him will wear it tonight. Perhaps he will be luckier than Aylan.